Hello there. Today we visit Campsie Glen, a narrow valley in the foothills of the Campsie Fells, just north of Glasgow. Here the waters of the Aldessan burn flow through the glen in a series of waterfalls and rocky pools before continuing down to Clachan of Campsie, where they eventually join the Fingal burn. At one of the waterfalls here, you can actually walk behind the falling water and stand inside the cascade, looking out through the rushing curtain of the burn into the glen. Today the glen feels quiet and secluded, but for centuries people have been drawn to this place. Travellers, walkers and poets who came here to admire the scenery. By the late 18th and early 19th centuries, the wooded valley of Campsie Glen had become a popular destination for visitors from nearby towns and cities. The glen is remembered in a 19th century song by the Scottish poet James Ballantyne. Let us o'er to Campsie Glen, bonny lassie o, by the dingle that you ken, bonny lassie o.
Let us o'er to Campsie Glen, bonny lassie o, by the dingle that you can, bonny lassie o, to the tree where first we grew, bonny lassie o, our deep bonny lassie o, oh the willow brake will wend, bonny lassie o, out in Beth's Campsie Glen, bonny lassie o, out in Beth's Campsie Glen, bonny lassie.
Even the skies above the glen have seen unusual visitors. In the 1780s, Europe experienced a sudden fascination with flight. In 1783, the Montgolfier brothers in France demonstrated that a balloon filled with heated air could lift people into the sky. The news spread rapidly across Europe, and within months, public balloon ascents began to attract enormous crowds. Soon, the excitement grew so intense that newspapers began referring to the craze as Balloonomania. Balloon imagery suddenly appeared everywhere. In newspapers, illustrations of balloon ascents in fashionable clothing such as the balloon-shaped Lunardi bonnet, on porcelain and jewellery decorated with balloons, and even in satirical cartoons mocking the craze. People from every part of society became fascinated by the new spectacle, as the writer Horace Walpole remarked at the time, Balloons occupy senators, philosophers, ladies, everybody. Some even began imagining a future in which great aerial vessels might cross the skies, carrying passengers in comfortable cabins suspended beneath vast balloons. Among the most famous aeronauts of this early age of flight, and the man after whom the fashionable bonnet was named, was the Italian balloonist Vincenzo Lunardi. Lunardi later wrote that from the balloon the earth spread out beneath him like a map, giving a view he compared to that of Jupiter looking down upon the world. On the 15th of September 1784, Lunardi launched a hydrogen balloon from the artillery ground in London before enormous crowds gathered to witness the strange machine rising into the sky. The following year, he travelled north to demonstrate his balloon in Scotland. In early December 1785, Lunardi launched a flight from St Andrew's Square, watched by spectators fascinated by the invention. But the ascent quickly took an unexpected turn. As the balloon lifted, a local man known as Lothian Tam became tangled in the ropes and was briefly carried several meters into the air before falling free, fortunately without serious injury. Poor weather soon forced the flight to end after only a short time. After drifting northward over the countryside, the balloon eventually came down near the Campsie Fells, landing at Milton of Campsie, just over 10 miles from Glasgow. Today the landing is remembered by a small plaque in the village. Yet despite such moments, the same burn still runs through the valley, and the same paths wind between the wooded slopes of the Campsie Fells. Nearby lies the village of Clachan of Campsie. The word Clachan comes from Gaelic and originally referred to a small settlement gathered around a church or meeting place, often little more than a handful of cottages and a kirk serving the surrounding countryside. Close by stand the quiet ruins of St Machan's Chapel. The stone building visible today likely dates from the late medieval period, perhaps the 15th or early 16th century. But the dedication of the chapel recalls a much earlier figure, Saint Machan. He is believed to have lived sometime in the 6th or 7th century, when these lands formed part of the kingdom of Strathclyde. Like many early saints of the region, he was remembered as a healer and protector of the local community. Local tradition also holds that Saint Machan himself was buried somewhere near this chapel, After the Scottish Reformation in 1560, many small chapels like this one were abandoned, and over time the building fell into ruin. Today the remaining stone walls stand quietly among the trees, a reminder that this valley has long been a place of memory and tradition. Not far from here stands another place of devotion, the small shrine of the Schoenstatt movement, cared for by the Schoenstatt Sisters of Mary. The movement began in Germany in 1914 under the guidance of the priest Joseph Kentenich. At the heart of the movement are small chapels known as Schoenstatt Shrines, modelled on the original shrine in Germany. Today, similar chapels can be found in many countries around the world. Here at Clachan of Campsie, the quiet shrine sits beneath the slopes of the Campsie Fells, continuing a long tradition of prayer and reflection in this landscape. As we continue walking along the Aldessan burn, the sound of water echoes through the glen. The cascades here have clearly been guided in places, perhaps during the Victorian period when paths were created through the glen, allowing visitors to pass safely through the gorge.
Let us all to Campsie Glen, bonny lassie, by the dingle that Kirks, bonny lassie, to the tree for first we root, bonny lassie, how a deep red ox we root, bonny lassie, oh the willow brick will run, bonny lassie, out in that stair comes again, bonny lassie, out in that stair comes again, bonny lassie, out in that stair comes again, bonny lassie.
Thanks for watching this episode of Kirks.